Everyone that I know who has ever signed up for Nifty's free trial always ends up keeping it because it's really that good. In today's video, I'm going to show you the exact features that I use to keep my business running smoothly in case you don't know what you're missing out on. And yes, if you end up deciding to try out Nifty, they do have a free trial. There's a link in my description box as well as a code, but you'll need to make sure to apply that code when you're using the free trial sign up so that if you do decide to keep it, which you probably will, you'll have a discount off of your first month. So after you're set up on Nifty, and I'll link the first video I did where I show you how to get set up in 10 minutes or less on Nifty, even if you're on many platforms and have thousands of items in your store, which was the case for me. Then you can begin setting up and using all of their features. I log into Nifty every single morning to start my day, and I start by going to my dashboard and making sure that everything is running smoothly. Your dashboard is located here, and this is the place that is going to host all of the automated tasks that you can have Nifty do, as well as a history of what it's done so far. I like checking this every morning because I want to make sure that none of the links have been broken. Sometimes platforms have disruptions and it breaks the link on the platform. And so if I don't check this every single day, there's a chance that some of my automated tasks might not be working. It's the same with any other cross-listing tool. So I currently use Poshmark, eBay, and Depop on Nifty. Those are the three platforms that I sell on, and I have it working for me on each of those platforms. You can customize your settings for each different platform. So on Poshmark, I'm having it automatically share for me at different times throughout the day. I'm also having it send out automatic offers on Poshmark. On eBay, I am having it send out my automatic offers as well as doing automatic recreates for me when items become stale. Same thing with Depop. I am having it send out offers and then I'm also having it do recreates. There's also a tab up at the top where you can see the history, you can filter by marketplace, and also the types of tasks that you're having it do if you want a record of everything that's going on. The next thing I like to do is go to my inventory page. This is where it holds all of your listings on every different platform. At the beginning of each day, I like to do a resync, which is this button up here. You have two options, a quick sync or a full sync. I do the quick sync every morning, and what it does is it looks for any listings that maybe you listed outside of Nifty, such as I start all of my listings on eBay and then I allow Nifty to sync them and then I cross post to other places. So if you're somebody who does that like me, resync is a good idea and I just do it every single morning. But you can do it multiple times a day if you have a different workflow. If you are somebody who wants to list on Nifty, which is another great option, you'll still want to run a quick sync every now and then just to make sure that nothing is slipping through the cracks. I'm thinking about things like maybe returns and it gets automatically relisted on eBay. Using this quick sync is going to catch those things. And then every now and then I like to do a full sync. You can do this once every 24 hours. I don't usually do it that often, maybe once a month unless something is going on, but this is going to do a total check of all things, not just the listings existing, but also if there's any major changes on price drops or anything like that that you did on another platform, it's going to capture those things for you and sync them all to Nifty. So once I do my quick sync, which usually takes less than a minute, sometimes even a few seconds, depending on how many items it's syncing up, that's when I'll go in and start cross-posting. Very similar to lots of cross-posting tools, they have options to sort, options for different marketplaces. Since I list everything on eBay, import them into Nifty, and then cross-post onto those different platforms, I'm cross-posting onto Poshmark and Depop. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to cross-post a couple onto Poshmark for you just to show you how the cross-posting works. So I am going to say not on Poshmark. And that way it's going to filter everything that's not already on Poshmark. I also like to sort by the oldest to the newest. So that way I can make sure I am cross-posting everything in order. And if you ever wanted to know when something got imported into Nifty, you can click the little I button next to each item and it's going to tell you when those items were imported. So I'm going to start with this one right here and I'm just going to cross-post a couple of items and show you my cross-listing workflow. So I'm going to click list on Poshmark. It's going to bring all of my information up. Now on Poshmark, I like to add a few dollars to account for offers. So I'm going to change the price on Poshmark. It is not going to change the price on any other platform besides Poshmark right now. I like to glance over everything and just scroll down. It auto-populates the category. If I feel like that's wrong, I'll change it. I verify the brand, make sure that that's correct, and then also make sure the size is correct. The great thing is your title is always at the top here, so it makes it really easy to just verify. And then I list. You could go through and add style tags and things like that. I personally don't do that because I make sure to get all of the keywords necessary in both my title and my description, but you can fill out as much or as little as you want. This is just what works best for me. Now let me show you how quickly this can happen if you know what you're doing and get in that cross-listing workflow. So I click to cross-post. I usually change my price super quickly. I scroll down. I verify that this is correct. I can actually see here that this is not, and I want to change it to blouses. So I'm going to click that. Everything else looks correct. Color looks correct, and I list. Next one, I'm going to change the price. I'm going to scroll down. This is a tank top. Oh my gosh, this says it is a size 0, which translates to an American size extra small. So I'm going to leave that purple, list. And we'll do one more. Tank top, list. So you can see how super easy this is, and it does make an accurate listing on that platform. I'm going to click out of my inventory page and back into inventory to just clear all of those filters so that I can show you the other thing I like to do every single morning, which is check my solds. Now we've already shipped out for the day, but I have sold a couple of items since we shipped out. This is going to show up on your inventory page. The sold bucket, I call it a bucket, is where I go to make sure that everything that sold for the day was in fact taken down. It's just an extra verification for me. I've honestly not had a single issue with the auto delist once it has been set up on Nifty, which I showed how to do in that first video. And this is where they're all going to come. So what I like to do is pull up my Nifty sold page, which is right here. And then I either open up each platform on my phone, which is what I like to do, or I open it up on another window on my desktop. And I just verify that the solds I'm seeing on the platform are also the solds that I'm seeing here. For me, it just is so much better to have that extra verification. I used to use another cross-listing tool where the auto delist would have a lot of hiccups. And so it just makes me feel better to verify those things. But honestly, I've not had any issues with the auto delist on Nifty, but it is a good idea in any situation for whatever tool you use to take a couple minutes and make sure that it is truly there. So as you can see, I sold these 2 items. This one sold on eBay. It was delisted on the other platforms. This one sold on Depop, was delisted on the other platforms. Now, I don't usually look line by line to make sure that it says delisted or sold because, again, Nifty's pretty accurate. But what I do like to do is as I'm verifying on my phone or on my other window, I'll go along and I'll start deleting the things that I see. So if I'm on eBay right now and I see this sold, then I'm going to select that. And then as I go through, I will actually remove them from inventory. And then I'll do the same thing with my other platforms. I would go to Depop, I'd select all of them, and then I'd remove from the inventory. And eventually this entire page goes down to no listings in the sold bucket. That is my way of verifying everything before I ship. You can also choose to leave all of your solds on this page, but I don't see a reason to do that because it does go to another place, even if you delete it on here. And I just like keeping this page very, very clean. So that means that the next day, all of my sales that are ready to be shipped out should be on this page. I can verify, delete everything, start fresh, and move forward. Now, as I mentioned, even if you delete them off of this sold bucket page, they're still going to show up in another place. So you're still going to have a record of everything. And this can be found in your analytics. This is your analytics page, and Nifty syncs almost all of the information from your sales. Even the ones you delete out of the sold page will stay on this page. It's going to give you a ton of information such as a link to that sale as well as your SKU, and it also calculates automatically the days that it was listed on the site before it sold, which I think is a really neat feature. Depending on your settings and what you do in your business, it will also auto calculate some of the information and pull it from the actual platform sold page for you. And this makes it really easy to do bookkeeping, which I'll briefly touch on here in a second. And anything that it doesn't capture, you can also add manually by hitting edit. and add in whatever expenses that you may have that it didn't catch. There's lots of hidden features in Nifty, which I'll probably show in a separate video just to make sure this is really to the point and gives you the basics. But something I like to do on this page is every now and then I'll check the first couple of pages and I'll actually refresh that data because sometimes it doesn't capture what you used in shipping if you haven't shipped or some of the other information. And by clicking refresh, it gives Nifty the opportunity to gather as much information as possible after you've shipped it. My favorite thing about it is it tells you line by line your total profit, calculating all of that information, which can be really helpful for those of us that don't really know which items are profiting us the most money. You can also import sales for previous time periods. You can import up to 3 months at a time, and it will also update that information so you can actually get caught up for the entire year. And on every page, they also have an export function where you can export a sales report via a spreadsheet, which can be really helpful for your accountant or for just yourself. Now, as I mentioned, you could really use Nifty for bookkeeping, and a lot of resellers are. We're actually going to make the shift to that this year in 2026. I am currently in the middle of figuring everything out. I currently use my own spreadsheet, but Nifty makes it so easy. It's actually going to cut my bookkeeping and analytical data in half because it gathers most of the information for me. I'm not going to go into too many specifics in this video because I think it would have to be a complete another video describing how to best go about making sure that all of your information is accurate, what information do you need to input based on if you're doing cash or accrual, and how you can really use this to automate most of your bookkeeping. But for today, I just want to show you on this analytics page what it does offer so that you can start playing around with it. So again, your orders page is going to sync all of that data that you need in order to generate these reports. You also have a tab for expenses, and so you can either do this in bulk depending on what your CPA tells you to do, or you can do it line by line. I've put a few examples here of some things you can do, such as if you go to a thrift store, you can assign this to the category of inventory purchases one by one, or you could also input like your total eBay shipping for an entire month. You can also import some of your expenses via a spreadsheet and upload that information to get yourself completely caught up, or you can use their add feature and do it right within Nifty. And again, they have an export feature. Next up would be your insights. This is where they're going to pull all of the information that they have in your orders and possibly your expenses page, and they're going to put that onto a dashboard for you. So here you can see all of the information that it does have. It is pulling what my top selling brands are, my top selling categories, what my average sale price are. I have my revenue, my profit, and my fees, and it gives me a nice little dashboard automatically. It is worth noting that at the top of most of these pages, you can change from accrual to cash. I personally use the cash method, so I always make sure to switch to that. You'll want to make sure you're doing that for yours as well, depending on which method you use. And you can customize this to whatever you want. You can do a whole year, a whole quarter. You can do just a day. When I'm checking this each day, I really like going to custom and just checking the day before to see where I was at as far as reseller nirvana. So for instance, today's the 31st. Yesterday was the 30th. I sold 18 items yesterday, but I am listing 20 a day, which is pretty good. That's about reseller nirvana, but I'm trying to keep track of how close I am to reselling about the same amount that I'm listing. And the last page is your profit and loss page. Again, make sure you're on the right accounting method because depending on what you click, it's going to pull in different information from these pages according to your method. So according to the information that it has, let's actually change this back to 3 months. It's going to pull my revenue, my cost of goods sold, my operating expenses, and generate a net profit. This profit and loss statement is something that you can give your accountant to really streamline your bookkeeping, and it's doing most of the work for you. Again, I probably have to do a completely separate video on bookkeeping through Nifty, but it is something that I'm planning on switching on in the new year. And I think the most important important thing about it is understanding what Nifty pulls and what you still need to enter. And the last feature I wanted to show you today is the very last one. We'll now have gone through every single tab on this page is their support button. This support button is going to automatically generate an answer based off of what you type in, and its AI is actually really good at giving very specific scenario details. I've asked it some pretty tough questions according to my own specific scenario, and it's really helped me. It can also guide you to some of the tutorials they have and really help you out. For instance, at one point when I was testing out Nifty, I wanted to start completely over. So I wiped out all of my information, but I needed to know how to do that without manually deleting every single thing. So I asked its AI, and there's a really easy button in your account settings where you can quite literally delete everything off of a platform and start over and then have it resync. I found that through the AI. So you can ask it questions or click their bubbles here, and it's going to tell you exactly where to go, exactly what to do, possibly even suggest some training for you. If you ever need human support, you just click this button here, request human support, and it's going to either send your questions that you've already typed to an email address, or it's going to provide you with an email address. Their support team has been really awesome. I usually get really quick responses, and the few times that I've seen little bugs or wanted a feature request, I just send that right to them, and they are very responsive. If you guys do ever have an issue, make sure to contact the tool that you're using because they can't fix something that they don't know about. All right, you guys. So like I said, there are tons more hidden functions and features within Nifty that I hope to talk about in a future video, but I hope that this video gave you enough information to start using the core functions of Nifty that are going to help you streamline your workflow. Again, if you're interested in trying out Nifty, they do have a free trial. I've got a link down on my description box as well as a coupon code. If you think at all that you might keep Nifty, which again, you probably will, make sure to use the coupon code during your free trial sign up. That way your first month does get a discount. Thank you guys so much for watching. Drop your comments down below that you have for Nifty. I'd be happy to answer them or possibly put them in a future video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.